and welcome back. Today I thought for our short yoga practice this January, it's day 3 if you're joining in real time, so this will be posted on the 3rd of January 2019 for the first time. So the first 2 practices have been labelled mixed ability, which is quite generic, and it is, they are intended for a mixture of abilities, but sometimes not quite specific enough for the absolute beginner. So if you're coming back to movement for the first time, for a long time, for whatever reason, work, children, injury, and you've never practiced any yoga before, then this video is geared towards you. So if you're familiar with the practice, you'll still get work from it, and you'll still get a little bit of mobility and strength, because we'll hold the poses for longer as I talk through the alignment and where you set your foot against your knee and your arm against your head and your elbows and your shoulders. But it might feel a little bit frustrating if you want to just kind of flow and move and work hard, if you're a bit more of the kind of intermediate to advanced. So if that's the case, there's a few more videos on my channel and more to come over the next few days, but give it a try and feel free to switch me off if I'm boring you, but for the absolute beginner this is geared for you. So we're just going to do, again, short 15 minutes, just getting into some kind of lunge movements and mobility for the hips and the upper body. So first thing in the morning it's going to be perfect. So we'll start in a child's pose today. So if you have any issues with flexion of your knees, you can always modify by laying on your back in rest pose or shavasana, or on your tummy. But otherwise, child's pose, just sitting your bum back on your heels. Traditionally your knees are together, but if that's uncomfortable, I always prefer my knees wide apart. So knees as wide as your mat, and then sit the bum back on your heels and just start to stretch the arms forward and rest the forehead towards the floor. So again, if you're quite tight in your kind of hip flexors or your lower back, even your head coming down to the floor to start with might not be available to you. So I always say you can stack your hands into fists and rest your head into your hands, or you can have blocks or pillows with you. So hopefully these videos will serve to teach you how to use your props if you've started to collect any props at home, like yoga blocks and straps. So you can always have your head up on blocks, but if you have the freedom to allow the head to rest down, we'll just take a minute here, slowing and deepening the breath. And then for those a little tight in the shoulders, we can start to make this a more active stretch. So then really reaching out through your fingertips, keeping relatively straight, or as straight as you can actually, through the arms. And from here then, as you sit the bum back and reach the arms forward, keep the arms strong. Take an inhale breath as you lift the head and chest up slightly, and then exhale and just press the chest and the head down towards the floor whilst keeping the arms kind of lifting up, so as if you're trying to shrug the shoulders up from the floor and press your chest down towards the floor. Keep pushing your palms down. And we'll continue then to stretch into the shoulders. So coming forward to all fours, puppy pose. So from your all fours position now, keeping your hips stacking over your knees, and then stretching your arms forward. So this is our kind of mini downward facing dog, which we'll come to next. So the arms now straight and forward. Again, keep that pressure of the palms pushing down into the floor. Elbows locking out, shoulders shrug up. Draw the belly in, and this stops you from kind of just collapsing into your lower back here, which is not what we're trying to do in this position. So belly in to flatten the lower back, and then sink the chest down towards the floor. So what this does is it isolates the stretch into the upper back and the shoulders, rather than kind of losing it into other joints through the torso. So just taking a couple of breaths here. It could be really, really intense in feeling. So if it's too strong, just starting to kind of tune into your own intuition with your body and listening. So sometimes a deep, strong stretch is much needed, and you can kind of just breathe through the discomfort and settle into it a little bit. And then sometimes it's just way too intense and you need to back out. So Just a couple more breaths here if you can. And then bringing the hands back to all fours. Inhale, tuck the toes under. And exhale, move the hips up and back into your first downward facing dog. So actually I've found that for beginners this can be the hardest position to get used to. It looks very simple, but it's quite complicated if you're coming back from injury, or if you have lots of tightness in the hamstrings, if you're an athlete even, and you're tight in the backs of the legs and the lower back. It can be quite a difficult one to get, and we often end up kind of looking a little bit more like a hump or closer to a plank pose. So in terms of positioning, I'm quite short myself, and I mean my hands are about a foot off the front of my mat, and my feet are about a foot off the back. I could go wider in my stance if I wanted to and get more of a stretch, but kind of about a foot in for each way for me works. So what you're looking to feel is starting to stretch through the shoulders and the backs of the legs. So now if you're tight in the hamstrings, your heels may be way up here, and that's what sometimes forces your body weight forward. So if that's you, you can take a little bend in your knees, and then that releases some of the stretch here and it allows you to push the hips back some more. And as your hips go back, you're able to lengthen more through the spine. Keeping your fingers spread nice and wide so your hands are shoulder width apart. There are different schools of yoga that teach their feet position slightly different, but hip width is generally pretty good to start with. Sometimes people prefer a wider stance, you can try that, or some people teach kissing heels and ankles, but hip width is a nice kind of general place to begin with, and then you can kind of modify to suit you over time. So taking that bend in the knees if you need it, keeping the lower belly engaging, so again you're not sinking into the lower back, especially if you're hyper flexible there, and then pressing the chest back, and this is kind of your settling in place. So just taking a few deep breaths here. If you're tight in the shoulders and you find that your elbows are bending, this is going to feel like really hard work on your arms if you're building strength in the arms for the very first time. So trying to straighten the arms as much as you can really help take some pressure out of the position. So what you're looking to do is what we call kind of wrapping the shoulder blades. So as if your palms were facing forward from your knees, and then you were bringing the palms to face each other, so your shoulder blades kind of wrap here, but at the same time then your forearms turn so that you can press your index knuckle down, so it's a little bit easier when you're up in this position. So for simplicity, I sometimes say your elbow crease is facing forward. It's quite a generic instruction, but again, if you're just coming to this pose for the first time, it sometimes helps you find that movement, slightly more complicated movement of the upper arm. So again, that just helps take a little bit of bend out of the arms and a little bit of work then out of the arm muscles, because we do quite a lot of downward facing dog, so you don't want your arms to fatigue too early. So just trying to find that kind of shrugging of the shoulders, so it's almost like you're drawing a little circle with the elbow around and forward. And I think that's enough time in downward facing dog, especially if you've stayed all this waffle. So when you're ready now, using an inhale breath, step the right foot forward between the hands, and we'll just find our way up into a high lunge. So feet are hip width on the mat, so if you were drawing a line from each foot, you'd have a little diagonal line going here. Try to sink the front thigh to be parallel with the floor. Tucking the tailbone slightly forward, and then try to push your back leg towards straight. Shrugging the shoulder blades down away from the ears, extend out through the fingertips. Stay for one more inhale breath. Exhaling, then place the palms down. Step your way to plank pose. So plank pose, again, if you're building strength in the arms and the tummy, you can lower the knees down from here to take some pressure out. Drawing the tummy muscles in. If your knees are up, keep the thighs strong, so kneecaps are drawing up. And then the arms are hugging towards each other. Stay for one more inhale breath, and then we'll lower like a press up, like a tricep press up. So chest comes forward so that you're able to slowly lower with resistance through the arms. So again, complete beginners usually lead knees down. to lower all the way down to your tummy. Inhale, then peel the chest up very gently, so just a small back bend, and then exhale, moving the hips back towards the heels, and then you can lift the hips back to your downward facing dog. So second side, inhale, left foot steps forward. If it gets stuck halfway, it's usually just a lack of strength in your hip flexors and tummy muscles that will build over time. So don't worry too much about that. You can use a hand to help the foot forward, or if you kind of come up and you're a little bit here, just wriggle your way back into a wider stance so that your knee is stacking over your heel and you can sink into the front thigh. Taking a couple of breaths here. Chest proud, so there's intention through the whole pose, reaching out through the fingertips. Stay for one more big inhale breath, and let the exhale move you back to plank pose. Big breath in. You can lower the knees to take some pressure out, exhaling all the way down to your tummy. Inhale, peel the chest up, keep the thighs strong, hands pressing lightly into the floor for cobra pose. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, right foot steps forward, reach the arms up, coming into your high lunge. And this time, then we'll turn this into warrior two. So you're swiveling on the ball of the back foot to turn the back heel down, and then re-extending the arms either side of you. So your front foot has stayed the same. You're still trying to sink parallel into this front thigh eventually. And now the outside edge of your back foot is in line with the back of your mat. Your gaze point is forward over your front hand, so we use gaze points just to help keep your focus through the practice so that you're less likely to drift and wander off into trails of thought. Taking just a couple more breaths here. So again, if it feels funny or if it feels like there's nowhere for you to go in this front leg, sometimes if the stance is too short and the knee is exceeding the front heel, you're kind of here and there is nowhere for you to go to get lower in the thigh. So if that's the case for you, widen your stance, and this is where smartphones are really, really good to have a little glance at your alignment. From here then, the legs are going to stay the same. Inhale, turn the front palm open to face the ceiling, and then exhale, just gently start to lean back. Back hand rests on the back leg, reaching out through the fingertips. Take your gaze up towards the ceiling for reverse warrior. On your next inhale breath, we can cartwheel the arms up and over through warrior two, exhaling to place the palms down to the floor, and this time we'll step our way back to downward dog. Left side, so inhale, step the left foot forward between the hands, circle the arms up or sweep them forward, find your way into high lunge. So again, remembering all those points so far, if you need to wriggle your stance and fidget your stance slightly wider when you get here, take a fidget. And then on your next exhale, turning the back heel down, release the arms either side of you for a warrior two. So chest is proud, finding length through the spine, think length up through the crown of the head. Legs stay still, so again, if you needed to fidget that stance so you widen, a good measurement is often having a quick glance at your wrists and seeing that your feet are stacking below your wrists. And then inhale, front palm opens to face the ceiling, and exhale your way back into reverse warrior. So again, in time with your own breathing, let an inhale cut with the arms back through warrior two. Exhale, place the palms, stepping into downward dog. So if you would like to vinyasa here, you have the option to do so. Otherwise, staying in downward facing dog for 5 more full deep breaths, or inhale forward into plank pose. Exhale through chaturanga, so our little tricep press up. So lowering all the way to your tummy just for a beginner's variation. Inhale, peel the chest up, cobra. So as you stay in cobra, your shoulders are rolling back, thighs are strong, and then exhale, we'll meet together in downward facing dog if you stop there. Good, so hopefully we've got time for one more little flow. So when you're ready, inhale, step the right foot forward between the hands, reach your arms up into high lunge. Turning your way into warrior two, sink into your front thighs, so widen your feet if you need to. Keep this position in the lower body, so sometimes your front knee starts to creep inwards here, so keep a peripheral vision eye on the front knee. If it starts to roll in, you're using the strength of your inner thighs to keep it like an open door, crook in line with your middle toe of your front foot. I'm aware I've got my back to you, so sorry about that. Inhale, front palm opens. Exhale, coming back into reverse warrior. So legs stay the same. Reaching through the fingertips strongly in this top hand. And then inhale, this time cartwheel the arms through warrior two. Straightening your front leg for triangle pose. So my mat's a little slippy today. My stance has gone wide now, so I'm going to heel toe my back foot in slightly. So you can do the same if you feel like you've already got a stretch going in your back leg. From here for triangle pose, you're going to reach and extend forward. So again, we're looking for length and space. And then slowly, just like a cartwheel, start to bring your hand to your shin. So what this will do is, I am going to switch sides so I can talk to the camera properly. So what this is going to do then, by just coming straight to your shin here, I'm presuming you haven't got blocks. So if you do have a block, you can maybe bring your hand straight to a block. But by just holding gently onto your shin, it allows you to come into the pose very slowly, very gently, without overstretching, and just pressing for the end point, which is eventually the floor. So you're trying to get your arms parallel with each other. If you feel balanced and steady, your gaze turns towards the top hand. Keeping just a softness in this front knee, just especially if you are holding onto the shin, you don't want to kind of press your weight into the knee joint. And then maybe you can start to slide your hand towards the floor, but you don't want to lose this spaciousness across the chest and the position of your pelvis. So the tailbone is kind of curling forward here. So if you are at home, you can see I've got a wall straight behind me. I could practice this kind of leaning back against the wall to check my stance and my alignment. So then what I'm trying to do is really keep my hips against the wall, at the same time pressing my shoulders back towards the wall. So if then, say you're here and you start to slide here, but the top shoulder starts to kind of fold in and curve down, now you've lost this sense of space and freedom in their position. So you're far better off to be up on a block or holding your shin, so the chest is open, the breath can then kind of feed and cleanse you as you work the pose. And then when you're ready to come out, if you stay that long waffle time, bending into your front knee, move through warrior two, cartwheel the hands down. If you're a little stronger and you find that lowering onto your belly doesn't work you quite hard enough, then the full position of chaturanga is really just trying to hold this press up position in a little hover, and then pull the chest forward for either staying low in cobra, keeping your pelvis down, or you can move a little higher into upward facing dog. So in upward facing dog, you can use your bent elbows to circle back, shrug the shoulders back, keep the tailbone tucking down towards your heels, keep the thighs strong so you're really pushing down through the tops of your feet. And then the arms kind of pull the chest through, shrug the shoulders back to push straight. Stay for one more inhale breath in either cobra or upward facing dog, and then use your tummy muscles to exhale you back into downward facing dog. Inhale, left foot steps forward, bring the arms up into high lunge. Turn the arms open into warrior two. Keep your legs still, keep your knee aligned with the middle toe of your front foot. Inhale, front palm opens. Exhale, reverse warrior. I'm out of breath from talking, so hopefully you guys are getting a little bit of work as well. When you're ready, we'll come into triangle pose. So again, you straighten this front leg, reach and extend forward. So you start to get this diagonal line through the back side of the body. And then it's not the only way to come in. Sorry, my foot's slipping again. But sliding your hand down the shin will just ensure that you find that spot for you that gives you strength, a stretch, but also a sense of spaciousness across the chest and this back shoulder. So if you can keep all of this aligned, this kind of leaning back through the torso and this sturdiness through the legs whilst lowering your hand down, then that's fine, but otherwise stay here to reap the maximum benefit. 2, come out, slowly start to bend into this front leg. Warrior 2. Heart with the hands down to the floor. So option here to go straight to downward facing dog and stay for 5 breaths, or inhale, forward plank pose. Drop the knees if you need to. Exhale, either lower all the way to your tummy or to a hover. Keep the tummy really strong. Inhale, pull the chest through, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale back, joining together in downward facing dog. Slowly start to lower your knees down to the floor, sit the bum back onto your heels. So we'll finish with just the gentle twist and then relaxation. So again, any issues with knee flexion, you can prop yourself up on a pillow or spin around so you're sitting on your bum. From here, just a gentle twist to finish. Inhale, lift up and lengthen through the crown of the head. Exhale to turn towards the left. As long as you feel no discomfort in your neck, you can just start to turn your head to look over the back shoulder. And then inhale, come back to centre. And exhale to turn the other way. Inhale to come back to centre. Slowly just rolling over onto your bum. And so from here, if you do have the time, if you don't have time, just sit for a moment and just come back to your breath. A really nice one to finish, a nice breathing practice is coming to 7 counts on the inhale breath, 11 counts on the exhale breath. So you're just starting to slow down your exhalations. If you do have a little longer, 5 minutes would be perfect. But just a couple of minutes, same breathing exercise, but coming all the way down into Shavasana. So our relaxation posture. So wriggling out through the pelvis and the shoulders, allow the eyes to close, allow the whole body to relax then. So if you're sitting up, you do still have that energy obviously to hold you in a nice kind of lengthened spine. So here you can just let go. 7 counts on each inhale breath, 11 counts on each exhale breath, and that just works you into a deeper sense of relaxation to finish off. So thank you again so much for joining me, and feel free to drop me any comments below. I try to check in daily when I'm using YouTube daily, so I will definitely answer back or try to come up with any new videos that you think might be helpful for you post this video. So after this, if there are any questions that arise from what came up today, let me know and I will try to help. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Thank you.